Hello everyone, I'm Jo Penn as expected, and this is the Patron only Q&A. It is Friday the 30th of May 2025, and it's lovely to see everyone here, or if you're enjoying this on the replay. So today I'm going to go through a couple of things. So on the questions from the audio Q&A last week, there were two big questions that several people asked. One was, can I use this for AI audio? Can I use that for this? Can I do? And I realized how complicated the AI audio situation is right now. It is ridiculous. And so I was like, oh, I think I need to do like a diagram on this. So we're going to go through that first. Then I'm going to, a lot of people have also been asking about Midjourney consistent characters for book covers and also social media. But yes, so we will be doing both of those things first. And then I will take questions. If we can, we'll do some questions where you unmute yourself and ask a question, and we do it that way to give myself a rest. I don't even have a gin and tonic. I thought that was too risky given the I know. I was just like, if you've just arrived, I still have builders down in the kitchen, so I'm just a little stressed. I thought if I had a gin and tonic, it would be drunk within seconds, and then this would be out of control. So that's what we're doing today. Right. Also, I do have some slides. I will be sharing the slides before the end of the session, so you can go and download those, and obviously then I'll send them out with the recording. So let's get into it. I'm actually just going to share within the screen so I can keep clicking the admit button at the moment because people are coming in. AI narrated audiobook confusion. What the hell? So basically, I thought the first thing is Audible. Audible, it's funny, Audible was the biggest, but now I really think that if you take all the other things and Audible, I don't think Audible is the biggest anymore. It used to be fine to just be exclusive on Audible, but I really think now, especially with the rise of selling direct and the possibilities of audio bundling, you can make good money on audio bundles if you sell direct. But we do want to have our audiobooks on Audible. So acx.com, which is where most of us do our audiobooks, you can still only do human narrated audio on ACX. I have heard of some authors uploading AI books there, but they should not. It is against the terms of service. So it should only be human narrated audio. So if you want to do an audiobook once and put it everywhere, then your best bet is still human narration. But obviously it's expensive. So the other way, if you're in the US right now, if you're in the UK, and I think Canada and Australia, you also get this under your KDP eBooks. So what they have done, okay, and this is off the record, I do not know this for sure, but what I think is the origin of ACX is they bought an audiobook company, and the ACX narrators, I think, are the unionized narrators. So what they couldn't do was allow AI narration on ACX, but you can still get AI narration onto Audible by using KDP publishing, normal Amazon KDP, with this add audiobook with virtual voice. So have people seen this? Those of you who publish on KDP, put in the chat, have you seen this button? And has anybody done it? Is that something? Yes, yeah, okay. So you are seeing this. This is something, oh, some people haven't seen this. So you may or may not see it depending on what kind of books you publish. Not every book is able to be done, but you can say, okay, seen it but not done it. So it looks like a lot of people mostly have seen it. Okay, so I went in and did this for my mum's Penny Appleton books. You really can't control much of it. If you want to control the audio, you have to go in, edit the ebook, re-upload the ebook, and then regenerate the audio. So it's really not great. I think it will just get better and better. But that's why I think that is a pain in the ass. But both of them go to Audible. Okay, so that is the Audible section. This is the complicated one. And what is funny is how many times, how much work went into this, and I still don't think it's clear. But I was really just trying to see people laughing at me. Okay, so I used to be a business consultant, and I'm not happy with this process. It's not a process flow, basically. It's all over the place. But anyway, so there's a few things to talk about with this. Let's go easy first. So Helen just asked about Apple. Apple's auto narration you can only publish on Apple. So there's one thing. So I would basically remove Apple from the equation, and it's also only for some books like romance and stuff like that. Okay, so let's then go to Google's auto narration, which has been around for like 3 years now. I had them on the podcast like 3 years ago. And essentially, Google's auto narration is free, and you can use it on Google Play Books. And more importantly, you can use it on Spotify and in audio. So this is the other thing that is a pain in the ass right now, is that after the 1st of August 2025, Findaway Voices is no more. That it's going to be Spotify for authors and in audio. So that's the branding in the middle there, which I know is super. Yeah, Rich is like, what the? That's how I feel right now. Do you know the other funny thing, and I'll be saying this in a minute, I just did my successful self-publishing, the 4th edition, which is out now. And right up until the edits came back, I didn't know about this rebranding of Findaway Voices. So I basically had to go in, and then the book is published now. The change won't happen until the 1st, but I made the decision to just call it in audio in the book. So I've called it in audio brackets previously Findaway Voices. Oh, thanks, Suzanne. I'm glad you got it and love it already. Okay, so, and Anne says, I tried Google's narration a while back and it was terrible. Totally agree. I don't think Google is so crazy in general with AI stuff. They are always first. They have the best labs, and then they just forget about it and move on to the next thing. So yeah, I agree. I wouldn't use Google and I wouldn't use Apple. So let's go back to the split. So this is another split, right? Spotify for authors, there's a new landing page. I think, again, that this is a legal split for some kind of maybe narrator union reason, but it's certainly for some reason, because I don't understand why they would do this otherwise. So essentially, Findaway Voices becomes in audio for everywhere except Spotify. And you use Spotify for authors to publish to Spotify. So it's very annoying because we're now going to go from so at the moment, I publish audio to ACX, Findaway Voices, BookFunnel, because I do direct sales, and I'm going to have to add in essentially Spotify for authors. So you can see how what was a reasonably simple situation when I first started self-publishing audio in 2014, so a decade ago, there was only ACX, there was only Audible, and now we've got this totally splintered thing. So back to the AI audio. I hope I'm not, well, there's no way not to be overwhelmed with this, but can you see how it's almost impossible to describe in any other way than a diagram? Okay, so let's go back to Spotify for authors and in audio, which is going to get you into about 8 different platforms right now, but is going to expand. And Spotify, of course, is the juggernaut here. And since also the technical change that now allows you to buy audiobooks on the app in the Apple ecosystem, which happened like 2 weeks ago, they've said that there's a lot more audiobook sales going on Spotify. So we want to be there. I really think so. I'm an audiobook I've moved from Audible to Spotify. A lot of people, especially non-fiction listeners, I think, are moving because you can listen by chapter, whereas on Audible you can't listen by chapter, you have to get the whole book. So on my behavior on Spotify is to listen to specific chapters rather than the whole thing. Okay, so back to here. So Google Auto Narration is accepted by Spotify and in audio. ElevenLabs AI narration is also accepted by these two. You have to pay for this. You have to pay for ElevenLabs AI narration. So that's ElevenLabs Studio. You don't have to pay for Google. You don't have to pay for Apple. And then the other thing is this AI narrated audio by any service. So the other thing is I get these emails, and of course in the Patreon Q&A, people were saying, what about this service? What about that service? What about PlayHT? What about all these other ones, right? People are always talking about these other things, but you cannot use them on Spotify or in audio. So what I don't understand is why people are doing that unless their model is only to sell direct or put on Kobo. Kobo will pretty much accept anything. YouTube will accept anything, and BookFunnel will accept anything. ElevenReader, I'm also going to put ElevenReader on here. Has anyone... Okay, so Speechify. So Charlotte, I'm just going to pick on this. Speechify is not accepted on Spotify or in audio. So that's why I don't get it. Why create audio when you can't sell it on the biggest services in the world? So I would love to know what you think on that, because to me, it doesn't matter if some of these are better than others. What matters to me is, how do I sell it? Do you see what I mean? So I think that's what we need to come back to. How will they know where you made it if it's your own voice? Okay, this is a technical thing. When you publish on Spotify and in audio, you have to upload an LPF file, and you can only download that specific LPF file from Google and from ElevenLabs. And the LPF file contains technical metadata that tells the service where it's come from, and also specific data about the narrator. Now, the reason they're doing this is because so many of the services have got voices with no permissions. So what Spotify obviously needs to do, what InAudio needs to do, is to verify that there are proper licenses involved in the creation of the voices. And they cannot trust, like Speechify, I talked to years ago, and I was like, you can't answer my question on where you got your voices from. So that's why, and I'm ethical as much as possible with how we use the tools. So the other thing is, ElevenLabs pays for voices. In fact, Simon Patrick, I think, is on here somewhere, and he is earning money from voices now from ElevenLabs. So that is, to me, very interesting, and why, again, another thing that's important. So Charlotte says, I hadn't actually tried it, was playing with my Substack. Okay, so Substack is another one that you can use anything, but this, I guess this is the point. You can use Descript, you can use, there are so many tools you can create voices with, but I want you all to keep in mind, we are author businesses. We are selling audio books as a product. So how do we sell that? So, okay, everyone, I know that was really, yeah, so Dave, well done. It looks like ElevenLabs is the most versatile. Yes. So this is why what I'm now doing is ElevenLabs, which you do pay for, but what you can do is go in, pay for a month, do the book, and then go back down to the free tier. It's like a subscription, but you can go up, do the book, come back down again. And also you can publish to ElevenReader. Now, I had my doubts about ElevenReader until the thing I'm going to talk about next. But again, people are starting to earn money from books on ElevenReader. So actually I have. I think I put it on the thing. I earned like £7 or something the other week. I was like, yes. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. It's a start. It's always a start, right? Okay. So I hope that's clear. If you have any, that I know there's loads of questions. Simon says, I was the top voice in the world this week. That is fantastic. If you're happy to share like a week's earnings or something, or a month's earnings, I think people would be very interested, if you don't mind. If you don't want to, that's fine too, but I would love to know. Okay, so let's now talk about, and again, remember, I'm going to give you the slides, so you get to download this. Now, also remember, this is dated Friday, the 30th of May, 2025, because next week it could be completely different. Oh, I really am just banging my head. I should get that drink. Maybe I should ask Jonathan to bring me my gin. Oh, anyway, this happened. Have you seen this? Melania. I love this. So Melania, yesterday, no, a couple of days ago, released her audiobook in Melania's voice on ElevenLabs. It is the Melania voice clone audiobook. And that's mine, Death Valley, also out now. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. This is crazy. Now, again, we're not being political, like there's nothing, it's not about Melania, right? But she is the wife of the President of the United States. So this is getting a lot of press. I think this is going to do a couple of things. This is going to bring the conversation right up into the mainstream, and it's going to bring it's going to bring a whole load of the haters are kind of come out, but also a load of people are going to try ElevenReader. So while I was doubtful about ElevenReader, it is basically coming back to this slide. If you're on ElevenReader, then you're now on the same platform as the platform that is getting a lot of press. This article from the New Publishing Standard, I love Mark Williams. I've tried to get him on the podcast, but he's in middle of nowhere in Africa, and so he's not very often online. But he has a really good article talking about whether this is the mainstream of this and the sort of whether this will change things. But yeah, I wanted to point this out because I think ElevenLabs has got a lot of funding, so have a load of other companies, but they are clearly going hard and trying to own the space. Now, I think a couple of things. Oh, okay, Simon said my voice earnings had grown to about £1,000 a month. It doubled this month. Oh, okay. I have said I won't license my voice, and now I'm thinking that maybe it's a good idea. Okay, so Learn Tech here says, I uploaded to ElevenReader, then quickly withdrew when I realized I might be in breach of Amazon KU. Yes, this is another complication coming back to ElevenReader. Oh, it's very, very complicated. So ElevenReader, you can publish audiobooks from ElevenLabs to ElevenReader. So you just click a button and it outputs to ElevenReader. So when we get the text sorted, Death Valley will be on ElevenReader. But if you don't have an audiobook, you can just upload an ebook. So you can upload an EPUB to ElevenReader. But that means if you're in KU, you can't use your ebook elsewhere. So if your ebook is in KU, you can't put the ebook on ElevenReader, but you can still create an audiobook and publish it. Very complicated, I know. So you can keep asking questions. I find this hard myself. So yeah, anyway, so any last thoughts on this before I get into Midjourney? I know this is super, super hard, right? Okay. And since Simon's in the chat, if you have any ElevenLabs questions or ElevenReader questions, he and I have basically been going backwards and forwards with the ElevenLabs guys and the ElevenReader guys for weeks now doing the Death Valley book. I actually find it quite hilarious because I imagine that while they were testing Melania, they were also using what we were doing to help her. I find that quite hilarious. Okay, ElevenReader is adding a paywall next week, so that will change things too. Yeah, I think things are about to go nutso, basically, with AI narration. And I think if you've been holding back because you don't think it's good enough, I think now is the time to have a look at it. I think what I do think, though, is that the making money from it is going to become much, much, much harder because there is going to be so much more audio out there. So yeah, this is where thinking about selling direct, this is where really just considering your strategy around audio. I definitely do not think, this is really hard to say, but I don't think most indie authors should be paying for human narration at this point, because I don't think you can make enough money back from audio fast enough to unless you have a massive audience and a series that's already selling. I just can't see how the money works out. So there's just something to think about. I mean, obviously I am a narrator as well for my own books. Yeah, okay, this is hard. Kevin says, should I go AI while the audiobook is in production, then swap out later? Should I go AI? I don't quite understand that. So your audiobook is already being narrated by a human, perhaps? Okay, so do you need a separate ISBN? If you use a human narrator for one version and an AI narrator for another, yes, you need different ISBNs. Yeah, Kevin says, human voice is under production now. Me. Oh, okay, if it's you, carry on, finish it. As I said before, human narration can be published anywhere on any platform, so it's not even a problem. And in fact, successful self-publishing, I human narrated for this very reason. I was like, this is such a pain in the ass, I'm going to do it myself. But the fiction, as like you can see there, has got the digitally narrated on. Rasana says, I've delayed using AI to generate audiobooks because my book is set in India and the pronunciations can be difficult. Would this work if I were to clone my own voice? Okay, so the cloning, they actually have a little recorder button now. So if it's not pronouncing it properly, you can press the little microphone and you can speak how it's pronounced and it will use that. So it was a little bit glitchy, but it's getting better all the time. So you could definitely do that, Rasana. Dave said, if you create a clone voice, can you dip in and out month to month and still have access to it? Okay, maybe Simon can answer, but when I had a look at it, if you want to keep your voice there or sell your voice, you have to keep paying the higher tier. So
No,
you actually, oh, yeah.
No, you can drop down.
Okay.
Even if you monetize it, you can go to a free account. You can only have one free account or they will ban you though. So I drop voices down to $5 a month and you can keep it. You can't use it though. You have to go back to the $22 a month to use it. But it does keep it at $5 a month.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. And can you use phonetic spelling? Yes, you can use phonetic spelling, but again, we found a few occasions, like we were struggling with desert, because in the author's note, I say, I love deserts, and it kept saying, I love desserts. And I know Simon tried loads of things. That was quite fun. I'm using my voice for my bipolar fiction. Oh, that sounds cool. Okay, right, we're going to get on to Midjourney, because I was only meant to do this for 20 minutes, but okay, so I'm going to go to Midjourney because this looks complicated. How are we doing? Just pop back. Are we all okay? Because I know that was super technical. Yeah. Oh, goodness me. So just a little update. I'll tell you now. So successful self-publishing. Have I got it here somewhere? I've got it. There it is. Oh, yeah, here it is. Oh no, this is the Amazon one, you know, where they put the thing across it. But this is actually thicker. I don't, if you've got the old one, this is a bigger version because when I got into doing it, I realized how complicated self-publishing is these days. Like it used to be really simple, and the first edition of that book was like a pamphlet, and now it's huge. And there's also a whole section on generative AI. So that's why I want anyone who reads it, who's one of my friends like you lot, to leave a review as fast as possible, because I just know I'm going to get slammed because it's got section 4 is on generative AI basically. So yeah, reviews very welcome. But yeah, so again, as I went through, and I've tried to explain that audiobook situation in words in the book, but it is complicated. Okay, so we're going to get into Midjourney. So the question from various patrons was, how do we get consistent characters? So if you don't know what that means, it's essentially if we have a picture of a character, how can we then on book 2 use the same character but in a slightly different position or with whatever? And that's been a difficult thing, and people have found different ways of doing it, but let's do it. Okay, so you can see redhead fighter woman. Nod if yeah, okay, good. All right. So basically and you can see here that I have already, this is me managing to do it, but what you need to do, and I think you have to be a paid Midjourney. It's like $12 a month. I love Midjourney. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But so this is midjourney.com. If you've never used it before, go into this button here, the settings button. And what you need to do is change it to version 7. So it needs to be version 7. So I've already changed mine. So depending on where you are, it might say 6.1 or something like that. Must be version 7. Okay. And then what we do is we use the thing called Omni reference. I'll show you some of the other ones I've done. But basically what you do, let's just use a different one. Okay, so I'll use this couple. So when you I'm dragging an image. I don't know if you can see the text there. I'm dragging an image from my desktop and I'm dropping it into Omni reference. Now this is the thing you have to play with. So can you see there are 3 boxes here? Image prompts, style references, Omni reference. And over here on the right-hand side, when you see 3 things, that means I've used each of those fields. So what I've actually done is I've dragged that into all the fields, because what I've found, and you can see, okay, this one I only used it on the Omni reference. I only used it in one place, Omni reference. And here I used it in 3 places. And here I used it in 3 places. And now we can say, let's say couple, let's just try couple fighting and see what happens. Now we can just use a basic prompt because it's got all of those references. So it doesn't really need anything else. So we'll just let that run while I show you. You can see how good this is, right? This all looks like the same woman. Well, that looks pretty good, and that one looks pretty good. But this one, this is hilarious. I don't know why the hell it came up with one of those random robots behind her. I said, woman in superhero stance. You know what those superhero stance is, right? Basically with the fist on the ground. But yeah, so there's some funny things. Let's just wait. I'll show you this before I scroll up because I've created loads of other stuff. This is the cartoon cat. Again, you can see I've used the Omni reference and the style and the other one there. This is more like obviously for a cartoon. And then I've tried the spaceship as well. With all image generation, or in fact, with all AI work in general, you're never going to get exactly what you want on the first try. So you just have to keep playing with it until you get something you like. I mean, you can see that out of all my little cat pictures, oh, this is the woman I used. So this was the original prompt. Young woman, holding sword, long red hair, cartographic tattoos, action adventure clothing, photo. That's the original one. And then I basically downloaded her and used her as my reference. Cat, same thing. And when you look at the replay on the video, you can see some of my prompts here. Somebody asked about a spaceship. So let's just scroll up past our woman. So I was having my cat do different things. You can see that I think that works pretty well. Jan, I can see you smiling. You like my cat in the puddle. Good. Okay, so this one's interesting because it didn't do what I wanted with the laser rays, but it did flip the spaceship around. So I've at least got 2 spaceships here. And then what you can do in something like Canva, if you don't have Photoshop, Canva, you can remove the background and isolate the image, and then you can do another image of laser rays and have that instead. Here, I think this is realistically the same spaceship with the explosion behind it. You can see how these could be the basis of a book cover, right? Or they can be used in social media. These are some other images. I'm going to scroll, which I know is annoying, but I'm going to scroll up to the top. While we scroll, you can see some of my other random images that I've been creating. See, this is the story world I just use on Dave's. I really like this one. I think I'm going to use this for my Stone of Fire on social media. I really like it. I think it gives a very good view of what my book is. And actually that one, what I did was I uploaded Stone of Fire to ChatGPT 03 and said, give me some prompts for images for Midjourney. So that's another good tip. If you don't know how to prompt, just ask one of the LLMs to help you with prompts. Again, these are also prompts written by the LLMs. I would never write such a long prompt, but these are absolutely stunning. I mean, I just love that. If you've read any of my fiction, you'll just know that this is totally me, right? And I love these as well. Look at these gargoyles. These are fantastic. So anyway, I play with this all the time, but let's come up here. Okay, so they are clearly not fighting. Those 2. So let's just try again and only put one thing in there. Let's do couple fighting. Let's see what it does. But as I said, you have to keep playing with this, but you saw that I was able to do it with multiple tries. You can actually get that going. So you start with some kind of picture for people. Well, it depends. If your book cover is people, then it's people, but you can start with whatever you like and go from there.
I have a question. So they're wearing the same clothes.
Yes.
They're all wearing the same clothes. Have you tried? I mean, I imagine that might be kind of challenging, but it would be maybe a little odd if the character was wearing the same outfit in every single book.
Yeah, okay, well, we can try. And then we'll But
I'm only curious about if you tried it. It's we don't have to do like a live test of that. But
yeah. Well, let's just do it, and then we'll just, while it's doing that, we can look at the other stuff. So let's do couple in armor. Wearing metal armor, just to be clear. Let's see how that goes. Okay, but in the meantime, you can see that if you were using this in social media, I think these look pretty similar, right? Even though, so this is only using one, this is only using the Omni reference. So this is something to play with. Sometimes you can try the 2, you can try the 3. Oh, look, they aren't fighting. But I think this is interesting. If you haven't tried Midjourney before, you can see the quality. Oh, the other thing you can do is, well, let's say we like this one. What you can also, yeah, none of them are fighting. Yeah, sorry about that. So what I would have done is create the original image and then zoom out and then, yeah. So Tammy says fighting with swords or at a battleground. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of options, but can you see that you have to play with these models? You have to try different things. I just really wanted to show you the Omni reference. What's interesting here is it's clearly decided that only he would be wearing armor. So what I would probably do here is I would take this image and I would paste it into ChatGPT and I would say, how do I get the woman also wearing armor and how do I get them fighting, and give me a prompt that I can use on Midjourney with this. So that's the way to do it. As I said, these prompts are from Google Gemini. In fact, I'll just pop into Gemini. I've been back on Gemini. Crime thriller, I think it might be this one. Yeah, so this is Gemini, but again, Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, I mean, they're kind of much of a muchness. I like playing with all of them because I want to know the best thing. And Gemini is very, very good for sure. So if you are just a Google user, then this is a good one. So basically, I've asked it for a deep research. You can do these deep researches on ChatGPT as well. So I did the research. Let's just open it. The deep research on Gemini is extremely long. That's what I would say. It is extremely long. It is extremely detailed. I won't even like scroll through the whole thing, but what I found is the ChatGPT deep research, I think, is more useful in that, that side, go away, is more useful because it kind of cuts through all the information. I find Gemini gives you all the information and tons of citations. So if you want that, then Gemini is really, really good. That's Suzanne's asking. Yeah, I mean, like you have to, I think they're different for different things. So for example, I'm doing a chat next week. It will be on the podcast on generative engine optimization. So you've heard of search engine optimization, right? SEO. And you've heard me go on and on about how generative search will change search. Well, this is now really starting to happen. So I've been researching generative, in fact, you can see here, generative search optimization. I'm doing an episode and it's a conversation with Thomas. Okay, so this is the original one. So here, I want to make sure my books and my blog are found in AI search engines in the future. Have a look at my books and my websites. Research what are the best ways to ensure that my work is surfaced. 30 tips related to my books and websites. Thoughts on how generative search might impact book discoverability. So the deep research here, this is actually why I went back to Gemini, because Google is the biggest search engine in the world. This report was absolutely incredible, but it was very, very technical, super technical. So then I did the same thing on ChatGPT and the report was much more accessible. And in fact, I might just put these reports in the notes when I put the replay up, because they are very comprehensive. And Thomas Umstadt, who's from the Novel Marketing podcast, he and I are having a conversation on Monday, which will go out on the podcast as an in-between episode, because it's such an important thing. And he did a episode on, can your book be found in ChatGPT, basically. And I was like, come on the show, let's talk about it. So that's coming up. But to compare them, basically, I think Gemini is the most comprehensively done. I think ChatGPT is comprehensive and more layperson useful. Like, it has much better, easier ways for you to implement things. And Claude, it just is not at the same level, I don't think. You've asked, someone else has asked about Grok. I only use Grok on X. I don't use Grok as a separate engine. But let's just take this up a bit, and I'm going to go into this in my AI webinar next week. But we need to stop trying to use everything. Basically, you don't need to do what I'm doing here. You can just use ChatGPT. If I had to give up everything else, I would give up everything and keep ChatGPT. Basically, it really is the best overall tool. So I only got back on Gemini for this exact reason. For the reason I went on there is because of the prompts. And again, you can do this on ChatGPT. So after it did the research on the book covers, I said, can you write me 5 different prompts that I can give to ChatGPT? Now, I said ChatGPT because, of course, ChatGPT can make book covers as well. But I decided to then use this bit of the text on Midjourney because I still think Midjourney is the very best image engine. So anyway, played with all of that. Oh, here's Midjourney. Okay, so I did ask it for Midjourney too. So, but you can do exactly the same thing on ChatGPT. You can do exactly the same thing on Claude or Grok or anything. Simon says, have you tried putting Google Gemini Deep Research into Notebook LM and then using the audio podcast output? Now, Simon, this is one of the things about the deep research on Google. Let's just go back into this. You don't need to export it to Notebook LM because you can just do it directly from Gemini. You can also create a web page or an infographic or a quiz or whatever else you like. So this might be another thing about Gemini. But yes, basically the generative, in fact, what I might have to do is generate you guys an audio overview of the very complicated generative engine optimization that we can all listen to because it is complicated. But yes, you can do that directly from here if you're in Gemini. But as Simon said, you can also use Notebook LM for anything, and you can just create a notebook and then do it there as well. But yeah, I think Gemini is amazing, but as I said, I would still pick ChatGPT just because it's more user friendly. Okay. Oh, Courtney says, wow, that's good. I got a wow. It's always good to get a wow in a session. Okay, so we've done that. Oh, Anne says, this is amazing. I've never used Midjourney. It's been on the list. We'll definitely do it. Oh, I love Midjourney. Mike says, have you tried Adobe Firefly? Okay, this is another of the points. There are, again, a lot of different systems you can use. You just pick the one that you like and use that. If you have Adobe Firefly, use Adobe Firefly. It has great functionality. I just don't use it. Which version of Gemini is the paid one? It's at the moment, they gave me a special for $10 for 2 months, and then it goes up to $20. So I thought for $10, I want to show you it. So I did it. So it's like a special. And then you can cancel. Like before Christmas, I had it, and then I cancelled, and then I've gone back to it. Because, as I said, it is the search engine. And at Google I/O, their developer conference last week, they announced how much search is moving to AI. And I was like, I need to take this very seriously right now. Okay, Claire, when you say I'm happy to upload my books to AI, what does that mean? How do you do it? Okay, well, let's just do that, because this to me is really important. This is really important. Okay. First of all, what do we always do if we're going to upload anything? We check the terms and conditions of whatever service we're using, right? That's what we always do. I have checked the terms and conditions. I am happy. So this is ChatGPT. They all have pretty much the same functionality. So you can connect drives, or you can just upload things. So, oh, in fact, I'll just show you one of the things I did the other day. It was really funny. I use ChatGPT instead of Google now, basically. And I was going to show you this because it made me laugh. It's part of my kitchen. So I was like, I bought IKEA Lysikill to put over my tiles in the kitchen, but it has these marks on. What the hell are these marks in my kitchen? And it said, and it basically told me what it was and that you can peel it off. And of course, the tradies are peeling off. So I'm using it all the time for this. Oh, this one. If you're gardeners, you'll know. But can you see this? What's wrong with my roses? So you can just upload things, and I have chat on my phone. So I have the app on my phone. So I just take a picture and I can upload it. Just coming back to, oh, Risana says she uses it all the time. Exactly. I also use deep research to research buying things. I think this is a really important thing to know too. So I was thinking of buying a secondhand car. So I tell it all about it and it asks me some questions, and then it goes off and it does recommendations for buying a car, with all the various comparisons and the websites to use and all of that kind of thing. So this is why we're interested in making sure our stuff is searchable on ChatGPT, because more and more we are using these tools for searching, basically. So going back to the upload. So let's just upload. So we do add photos and files. So I'm going to upload my PDF of how to write a novel. Now, the reason we do this is because we want the response of the AI to be personalized as much as possible. So this is one of the things that I get a bit upset about when people are like, oh, I don't want my books in the engines. I'm like, why not? Because then they can help you more. Let's just say, give me 10 headlines. Look, I'm not even saying please, that's mean, isn't it? For articles I can pitch to a writing magazine on this book, and 10 magazines that would be appropriate, and 10 active writer podcasts. So can you see that this is ChatGPT 03 model? So I don't need to ask just one thing anymore. I can ask a ton of stuff. I can pitch. Let's just do that, and that will do its thing. Okay, so that is how you upload. I hope that helps, because I really think this is so important. Every single thing you want, like if you want your 10 social media image prompts or something based on a book, it's much better to actually give it the book. And that's what you can see there is the thinking behind O3. Okay, I'm going to answer some other questions while we do this. Jasmine says, I have a question about Book Vault and the spec used for Death Valley. Planning on offering a personalized hardback, like personalization, adding a dedication. Yeah, you can't print personalization. You would have to, well, you can print one, obviously, but what you would have to do is upload a new file every time and print one, upload a file, print one, if you're changing the name of characters. So that could be fine, as long as you're not doing like 1,000 of them, because that would be very bad.
Yeah.
But yes. Oh,
I was thinking a higher price point as a reward tier on Kickstarter, so I wouldn't do many.
I would also
charge a
limit
premium for it.
So
Yeah,
on
and
Kickstarter,
limit.
you can add a limit. So I would
Yeah.
limit that to like 10 and
Yeah.
then put it really high.
I was thinking 75.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine if you think that. If that's enough for you, then that's fine. But yeah, I think you could do that, but definitely limit it. And you do well, I don't think you need a new ISBN. On Book Vault, you have the ISBN is the file key. So what you would have to do is upload a new interior, print it, change the file,
Yeah.
upload that, print it, and that. But I would then have a separate ISBN maybe for the one you don't change.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because that would be difficult. Okay, so you can see, because this is the thinking model, it's reading the book and it's doing all that. So we'll carry on with questions.
So Joe, sorry, can I ask what paper weight you used as well? So I've got your copy of Death Valley. I like the paper. I'm just trying to work out what paper weight, if you know.
70. I think it's 70.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so. Or message me and I can send you a screenshot.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, Courtney, why do you use O3 and not O4? Okay, so O4 is still in the, I think it's still in the mini stage. Just open another tab. Yeah, at the moment, O4 is in mini and mini high, so it's not the main model right now. So that's why, obviously, I'll use O4 when it becomes the main model, but it's not right now. You mentioned you're working on a photo book, Gwendolyn. Can you tell us about the flow? Okay, I can't really yet because I am still visiting all the cathedrals, taking my photos, and I will then write the stuff and all of that. I'm interested in, which makes EPUB not the best. Okay, so that's more about the printing, I guess. What my plan is to get all the photos, write all the text. So this is, I won't be doing this until next year, and then arranging it all and then doing the print. So I'm not going to include, I don't think I'll do a photo book as an ebook like on Amazon. What I will do is I will sell the PDF direct so that people with tablets can look at it, I suppose. But I wouldn't do an EPUB for like Kindle or anything. What I probably will do is do a essay only ebook version, and I'll probably also do a paperback, and obviously an audio will be text only, but I'm doing essays with mine, or like memoir-y stuff. This is really slow. That's because it's Friday afternoon and the Americans. I love using AI in the morning here in the UK. It is so fast. It is so fast. But in the afternoon, it really slows down. Anne says, learning how to set up a custom GPT for marketing. Okay, yeah, so Anne, I've stopped using custom GPTs because I just don't really find the need for them anymore. They're more for sort of repeated things, whereas what I can do here is, I could have a project, for example. So I have got a project over here on the left for successful self-publishing, and you can upload the book there, and then you can have multiple chats in a project. You can also add things here, so you can actually add to projects later. So sometimes that's worth doing as well. So yeah, uploading the whole book really is a superpower. It's a superpower because then it knows exactly what you want. It's just fantastic. But again, you have to be happy with it. Oh, Charlotte says Claude 4 was slow this morning. Yeah. Okay, basic question on box sets. My books are in KU, only sell on Amazon. If I box the first 3 in a series, the price is capped at $9.99. Yes, this is a problem. This is why most authors who do box sets and in KU only have 3 books in a box set. So you don't do the whole series because the price is capped. However, in KU, your main money is from page reads, not buys. So I don't think box sets cannibalize individual sales. I think some people really just prefer them. So yeah, I would do sets of 3, to be fair. I don't know. I mean, I really think you have to decide what your goal is with KU, and if you want to, wait, because there's a series page so people can read in the series. Box sets are really wonderful selling direct and selling on Kobo, that in my opinion. Susan says, I'm confused about when to tell Amazon your self-published book was developed using AI. I'm using it to improve the dialogue. Is that using AI according to Amazon? Okay, so the Amazon disclosure thing is really very insignificant. So I'm clicking yes every time now, and then you can say text with loads of editing, basically. It's not a yes/no question. So if you say yes, you can then select. I normally just say yes with a load of editing. Now, some people will argue this and say, oh, if you didn't just generate it, then it's fine. You don't have to disclose. But I personally just disclose everything. I just, but in terms of being at risk for Amazon taking my book down, I don't think you're going to be in trouble there, especially improving the dialogue. So if you didn't disclose just for dialogue, I don't think that's a problem. But personally, I don't see a problem in disclosing. For example, I don't know if you saw this news today, the New York Times, which is suing OpenAI, have just done a deal with Amazon. Oh, I can see Ben nodding there. Yes, I was like, come on, guys. I mean, seriously. So all those people are like, oh, well, the New York Times is suing OpenAI, and when they win, all of this will go away. No, it's not going away. Okay, so let's come back to here. So can you see that it's now, I didn't have to tell it anything. Now, if you don't want to upload your book, obviously you need to tell it a lot more. But here I've just given it the book and said, do this. So it's given me a whole load of, some of these are actually really good, aren't they? Genre isn't dead. Surfing trends without writing to fads. So what you can also do, if you then want it to write these, it can do that. So, and here, look, it's actually given me the various things, and it's given me the, I love that it hasn't given me my own podcast. It does know me quite well by now. I haven't heard of some of these. I mean, you obviously you need to check. Anyway, so those are the things. And then if I say I want this one, it just come, if I highlight it, you can just pick it up like that and say, please write the draft of this article for, who should we write it for? Let's just do Writer's Digest. So this, when you actually have specific media in mind, I think that's quite good as well. Okay, where else are we? We'll come back to that in a bit. Oh, great. Fantastic. Go, Suzanne.
Right. So I'm a bit worried about plagiarism because I'm putting out a book about a breaking new area of law in the UK, and I'm worried that people are going to just do cut and paste and then turn it out into their own. And what I was on Kindle, you can only cut and paste a certain amount of the book. And I'm wondering whether with Kobo, sorry, not Kobo, with EPUB, they can just do right click and copy the whole book, or whether there are the same kind of security that features in the other ebook things. And I'm putting the question, I'm also really on board with this AI narration, and I'm going to make a thing of it because I have a huge email list, and I'm calling my character Susie Nova, which is like a new version of me, Suzanne. I'm going to have real fun with it, and then I'm going to put it on YouTube, which is your suggestion. But what I'm worried about is these other ebook versions, whether they've got built-in security or whether somebody will just be able to do an easy, copy.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Hate to break it to you, but anyone can crack anything. So it is really not about this format, that format, DRM, any of that. It literally doesn't matter. Or someone can just buy your physical book and scan it. That's why the J.K. Rowling books, they're actually pirated before they're even out, because someone's got a hard copy and scanned it. So we're not scared of piracy. We're just not, because it's going to happen. We just ignore it. What we do is we bolster our brand so much that people buy from you. They buy your book. You said you've got a big email list there. You finish your book, you send it out, they buy from you, they put reviews on Amazon. You are the authority. And I literally don't even have any of those services that watch out for piracy anymore. All my stuff has been pirated since the very day I started. I've just given up. But my audience, you guys, buy from me. You're not going to buy from some dodgy site. So I would say, Suzanne, you just need to get over that.
No, I mean more than copy it and then use it themselves, because
you can't stop it.
No,
There's
okay,
nothing. There is nothing that is going to stop that. So if you worry about it, it's just going to like hamstring you.
Okay.
I mean,
I just wanted to ask a question, so I understand.
There's no way of stopping it.
The other question I had was on eBooks. Can you do indexing in Atticus? Do you know? Because
I don't use it I don't know.
okay.
I don't know. You mean proper like non-fiction?
Yeah, because I'm thinking I've got an indexer, and he says that he doesn't think it's easy to do it in Atticus, and so for the print book, I thought if I have a nice index, it will look wonderful. But maybe I just don't bother with it.
So I do have an opinion on that, which is don't bother.
Okay.
I think that academic books have those things, indexes, but I think with most nonfiction, chapter headings and an appendix with resources are completely fine. Like, I just don't see the need unless you particularly love them. But I think indexing, I don't know if anyone's got a strong opinion on that for in general, but I just don't think so.
It will save me some money then. Thank you.
Yeah. If you do want to have a look, there is on the self-publishing advice blog. I'll see if I can find it. There's a woman there who does a lot of indexing. You have, so that's really funny. So the first thing that came up here was the importance of indexing for non-fiction authors. But of course, somebody who really cares about indexing is going to really care about indexing. So anyway, have a consideration on that, but my personal opinion is don't worry about it. I'll just put that on there. Okay, so because we've only got like half an hour left, let's just keep it in the text because I can generally do it quicker. Claire says, is there any point in keeping a Microsoft Office subscription anymore? I guess if you use Microsoft Office, then yes. Yeah, I mean, if you like writing in it, then yes, keep it, no problem. Also, Microsoft licenses the ChatGPT stuff, and so Microsoft Copilot is becoming better and better. So if you have the full access, you can use a lot of this stuff within Copilot. Okay. 101 question. What would be your advice for starting a mailing list? Oh, that is a great question, Dave. How do you get the first subscriber? Well, the first or the next subscriber, I guess, because we're all trying to build our email list. So I think like literally the first thing you need to do is just have at the back of your book, if you would like to hear from me in future, sign up here. You can just start with that and you'll get a couple of people, but then at some point you have to say what they're going to get for that email. So for fiction, it's like a free book. So I have They're the Vikings. For my nonfiction, I have Author Blueprint. It could be extra audio, whatever you want to give them. But then you still have to drive traffic to it. And that is where you need some kind of content. So for me, obviously, the podcast, some people use social media. Some people use, blogging, but most of us as authors, we're using our books. So at the back of every book, it says, for your free story, go here, sign up here. So let's say, and this is the kind of tried and true thing, is you do a promotion on a book. It has a sign up at the back for something that audience really wants. And that's how you get your signups. I personally do not agree with a lot of the newsletter swapping, pay for promotions to get emails on your list. A lot of that, I think, doesn't necessarily result in people who really love your work. And remember, we pay for every single person on our email list. So what is the point in doing something where you get a ton of people signing up? And I say this from experience. I've done cross promotions with other authors, had like 3,000 people signed up for my list. And then a week later, when I emailed them, they all unsubscribe, or they don't unsubscribe, which is more dangerous because then you're paying for them for years. So I think it's better to go slowly and actually have people who give a shit rather than trying to go, oh, I've got 100,000 people from random stuff who don't open your emails, and also kind of regularly clean your list. So if you do those cross promotions, then definitely make sure you're testing that people are actually opening and in fact, every time I go into my email listing, I always go in, I delete anyone who's unsubscribed and I delete anyone who's complained. I'm like, go away, seriously. You signed up for this. I have never added anyone manually to my email list, and I know that. So yeah, okay, I hope that gives you some ideas. Okay, Anne says, I have found newsletter swaps to be effective. I use Story Origin. Great, thank you for sharing that, Anne. Maybe some people do find it effective, but just tag those people within your system with where they came from. And then over time, as you have a look, do those people stick around? A year later, are they still buying? Because again, this costs you money and it costs you time. So make sure they are actually buying. Okay. I'm doing a 90-day pre-order on Kindle, my debut novel available on the 20th. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. Oh, bless. I totally get it. Trying to figure out how to work with Amazon's pre-order algorithm. Okay, so realistically, it's your first book. So unless you are sending a ton of traffic to that pre-order, there's not going to be much going on anyway. So I would say don't worry about the algorithm. You need to really think about what's your definition of success. Do you have a big audience already? With a debut book, it's probably unlikely. So the reality is, as an indie author, or even just pre-orders in general, pre-orders are hard, especially with the first book, because why is anyone going to pay full price or pre-order price for somebody they don't know? I'm just being harsh but true here. So I would say the main thing for you is to figure out, okay, what is the point of this book? Is the point that you want to do this as a career? You want to put books out every year, you want to build an audience, and then just as a perspective, it takes time. So I still don't get a ton of pre-orders. Pre-orders, I think, are difficult because everybody knows that when it's out, they can get it, right? So that's another reason why many of us are now using things like Kickstarter, because it really says this is exclusive, this is short term. But pre-orders, I mean, for me personally, as a user, as a reader, when I see a pre-order that I'm interested in, I actually just go and put it on my calendar because I want to get a sample. I very rarely do pre-order. Anyway, I know that's not really giving you exactly what you want, but what I would say is think longer term than just the pre-order. And in terms of the algorithm, the kind of obsession with algorithm, I feel like, is a rapid release strategy type of thing, and that's not what you're doing with one book. So lots of things to think about, but yeah, I hope that gives you some perspective. I guess that's all I can say on it. And I know there's some authors here, lots of authors who've written lots of books over many years, and I think all of us would agree that it takes a long time to build up a big audience for pre-orders, or in general. Becky says, I'm really serious about this. How do you keep your screen from reflecting in your glasses? Is it not reflecting? Then I think I paid the extra for non-reflective lenses, but I'm pretty sure you can see them. But that is how. Sorry for the newbie question. Why does each email list subscriber cost you money? Yeah, I'm not published yet. Yeah, so when you sign up for an email list provider like Kit, I use Kit, it used to be ConvertKit. They do have free up to 1,000 people, but then you have to start paying. And for those of us who do this for years, we have tens of thousands, possibly many more than that, subscribers, and then you have to start paying. I pay at the moment around $600 a month for my email lists, which hopefully gives you some idea of that I have quite a big email list, which is the result of my years of doing this. But yeah, I have to justify every person on those lists to make sure I am making more money every month than I am paying for that. I'm sure some of you have bigger lists than that, but yeah, with Kit, it's free up to 1,000. I assume you prune your list. Yes, I do. But I mean, you remember GDPR, people? Remember GDPR? I deleted 30,000 people when GDPR happened. And I still have a little heart palpitation about it. But it was I am ethical. They did not re-opt in according to my GDPR rules. So they are being deleted. I might just have to do it again, to be honest, just to cut my... But the thing is, you just don't know. If you delete 30,000, they might have been the people who were buying. Okay, okay, we're almost there. This has been a mission, hasn't it? Okay, Michelle says, I'm getting ready to share my manuscript with beta readers and invite feedback. What is the best way to do that? Oh, yeah. Okay, personally, I don't use beta readers. I'm sorry, that was my voice. I don't use beta readers because I pay my editor, but also I just don't trust committees. Now, there'll be lots of people here who do use beta readers. So the main thing is that if you use beta readers, personally, I would only use people for very specific reasons. So for me, it's like, are they a specialist? So I've had like a volcanologist for a book, and I've had an Indian person to read for Indian cultural sensitivities, that kind of thing. So I would say, what exactly do you want from the beta readers? The very worst thing you could do is send a book to, let's say, 25, let's say your book is a romance, you send that to 25 romance readers and you get 25 different emails with 25 different things that people think you should do. And especially if they're writers, Writers are the worst. Don't you think? They're so opinionated. Be very careful about asking another writer to beta read your book, because they will probably turn into an editor, and that is not their job. So be specific about their job is. So I would send an email, say, thank you for being a beta. Oh no, I did just use Steve for Death Valley. So Steve is a hiker. He was on my Books and Travel podcast, and I said, Steve, please read the book as a reader and an expert in Death Valley. Please tell me if you see anything or you read anything that is wrong about Death Valley. And he came up with some great things. And so I think that to me is the best thing. And ask them give them a date by which you want anything back. And also tell them what you don't want them to do. So your job is not to give me typos or anything like that. I will be doing that with my editor. So yeah. Dave just said there, a couple of times I've tried groups have been, quite frankly, a disaster. Yeah, and it can really knock your confidence. So just some things to think about there, I guess. James, do all publishing sites offer splitting of royalties to co-authors? No. The only sites that do are Draft to Digital and Publish Drive, I think. For example, you can't do that on Amazon. This is the pain, a pain. It is a right pain. I am still paying all these co-authors. One of the reasons I won't co-write again. It's such a pain in the ass to do royalty split. Anne says, I've started Wide but only have 2 novellas and a novel, all same series. Should I pay for marketing or still wait for more books? And again, it depends on your goals. For example, like we just said about the email list, you could have your sign up in the back of the novel if you've got another novel coming in that series, and do, let's say, put some BookBub ads on or something and drive some traffic, get some reviews. So if you want reviews or email signups more than profit, then that would be a good reason to do some marketing. But another Anne says, don't do it, it's a waste of money. If you want profit, then it probably will be a waste of money. But if you want reviews or email list signups, it's not a waste of money. So yeah. Becky says, I have trouble with chat being able to read my PDFs. Is it okay to upload Word docs? I think so. But yeah, I don't know why it would have a problem on that. Which AI is best if you're dealing with historical subject? Yeah, okay. So I would use, I think all of them are fine. Just do the deep research and use the thinking models. Do not use the 4.0 on chat, or do not use random Grok or whatever. Do deep research, because then it will give you citations. But, yeah.
I had something extraordinary happen on Claude.
Mm.
I put in a bit of text. Basically, it's the real people, but we're back in 1610.
Mm-hmm.
Claude then tells me, oh no, you need Lady Holby. No, I don't. I need Lady Wentworth. No, says Claude. Lady Holby is her second married name, and she's married at the date of the information. I was just floored.
And it was right.
It was correct, yeah.
Well, that's great, yeah.
I was going to swap over to ChatGPT. I'm using deep research, but we're looking at information from 1600.
Yeah, well, that stuff is digitized. So that's,
yeah, that's
no, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Jan. Thank you. Yeah, so just in general, you want the citations. Anything where you actually want it to be real, then citations. Yeah. I do wonder if Gemini for scientific stuff, but Jonathan, my husband's he's doing an MBA, and he uses ChatGPT deep research for everything. Says it's amazing. Okay, so if we've only got 10 minutes, I'm just going to try and just put down, Mark, how is the progress on the kitchen? Don't do that. Don't remind me. I haven't been downstairs for more than an hour. I don't even know what it's going to be. If you came in late, my kitchen is being done right now. Okay, too soon. Yes, too soon. Well, no, unfortunately, it's Friday afternoon in the UK. They're going to clock off, or maybe they have already, and they're coming back next week. So it's not even over. And it was meant to be over yesterday. Oh, anyway, fun. There's no robots who can do it yet. And I am having my gin and tonic after this. Okay, so any more questions for anyone? I see one here. When you're writing, Michelle, when you're writing nonfiction and you include real people, do you give them an opportunity to see an advance copy as a courtesy? Ooh, big question. I think it depends. if you're right, I've talked about this with a lot of memoir writers. So memoir in particular is difficult. So go back and maybe listen to some of my memoir episodes, because some people say definitely not. Because it's your story, it's your point of view. But if I was writing and then there's people who do biographies, if they are a public figure, so, you know, the things about the royal family or whatever, sometimes they're consulted, sometimes they're not, because if it's public figures. But what I would say is you do need to watch out for saying really bad stuff, because then there's libel and other potential issues. So I think it really is going to depend on what that book is, what the situation is. If you, people email me all the time and say, is it okay if I quote you in this chapter of my book? And I'll be like, yeah, that's fine. But I don't want to read the whole book. Sometimes people do send me a whole book and I don't necessarily want to read it. But yeah, so I think it would depend. Have you tried the Pro Writing Aid virtual beta reader analysis? I have, actually. And what I said, and I think it's excellent. I also think the developmental editing report is fantastic. And I told Kristen, my editor, I think it's fantastic. I'm not getting rid of my editor, but I can see that a lot of people will. It's excellent. And it's only like $100. And a developmental editing report, as you probably know, is a lot more. I tell you what also was interesting with that beta reader report and the developmental editing is I wasn't emotionally affected at all, because it wasn't a human, it was a machine. And I had that moment of, oh my goodness, it's really good feedback, and I don't feel any pushback in myself because I'm not arguing against somebody, you know, like a human. So I think it's going to only, there'll be much more of that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Kim said, just watch my interview on Kobo Writing Life. Oh, thanks so much. Yes, and I did keep bringing it back to promoting Kobo. I just think that's appropriate, don't you? I mean, really. What is your opinion on ScribeShadow for AI translations? Is it ready for use? Okay, so ScribeShadow is very, very good for specific books. They really are focusing on fiction, because non-fiction is actually much easier, especially maybe not memoir, but certainly non-fiction. But I am using, so I'm going to give you it's my new affiliate link. I'm using WordCount.inc, which basically is in partnership with ScribeShadow, and they are the service, uses ScribeShadow for translation, human editing, human proofing. So it's like a halfway between so they use generative AI for the first draft, and then a human edits and proofreads. So I've just paid them for Pilgrimage in French and German. And I've used them for how to write a novel in French and something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, I would say ScribeShadow, and the reason I'm doing that is because if you use ScribeShadow on its own, you have to do the work of looking at it. And I'm like, I don't want to sit there looking at German or whatever. So yeah. Yeah, and ScribeShadow does have a human editor service too. I think it's them. They're basically a partnership now. So this is like a brand new landing page, brand new thing. Jan says, I use Claude for Dutch with a human proofreader. Yes, you can do that, but then you have to paste in chapter by chapter, or, you know, do it that way. And I just don't want to do the work. So I'd rather pay like, you know, €400 to get someone else to do all of that for me. Okay, any other questions? Oh, what exactly will be covered in the AI seminar? Oh, so much, so much. One, it will be very organized and very professional as opposed to this. I mean, obviously I'll still be me, but I will be going very hard in a very organized fashion through, and I'm really going to be doing things differently. I'm trying to take it all up a level before going down a level, because I was thinking about this, the obsession with copyright in the author community. Oh, but what about my copyright? And I'm like, 99% of the use cases for these tools is not copyrightable anyway. Like, I'm not prompt and publishing. That's not my thing, and that's not most of your things. We're not writing a prompt, outputting it, and then pressing publish, which is where the copyright issue comes. book cover design, different matter, but we'll talk about that on the webinar. But I will basically be talking about how to use these tools for kind of strategic things, branding things, like much bigger things, and then looking at kind of going through everything. But it will go into, I mean, some of the things we've covered, but from different angles, with different examples, with the different flow. Oh, actually, now you've reminded me, and we're almost at the end. I do actually need to share my screen again. I almost forgot, because I just want to remember, you get a discount. So if you have not got the webinar yet, remember you can get a discount. So that is the one next weekend is almost full. There's still some spaces on the 21st. Oh, and then I just wanted to remind you that Successful Self-Publishing is out. And again, there are loads of AI things in the back, but I hope you'll agree that every time we do this kind of thing, that you get a different perspective, because it changes literally every single day in terms of what is happening, and my opinions change every day. Like, I just added that Melania slide just before we went live, because I was like, oh, I've got to put that in, that's brilliant. So yeah, I think I'm be really, oh, Imogen said she bought Successful Self-Publishing. Imogen, you are successfully well, thank you, I appreciate it. Write a review. Okay, so I think we're done. We're almost at time. So I'm just going to turn off the recording. So thank you, everybody, for coming.